specifically here, we can't allow access break at 6th, for the reasons I said earlier. So. Open up to questions. We do want to, before we leave, we want to talk about our staging and just remind you about the challenges during staging and how much congestion you're going to have and what it's going to look like. But we'll talk about that afterward.
Freeways usually have gas food lodging setups, and is it true that that will be available on this once it's?
Absolutely. There's a limit to how many signs we can put up, and I think it's 6 for each. And the challenge is you have a lot of businesses out here, but I think you put 6 lodging, 6 gas, and 6 food up.
I'm hard pressed to come up with more than 3 lodging, so.
Yeah, well, and what we try to do also is, because we have a ton of signs up, I've seen their sign plan, it's one after another after another.
Right.
So what we try to do is put, if we have 3 of one, 3 of the other, you put 2 up.
Right.
Or put 1 up that has two different types. You can't put, I don't think, all 3 on one. No.
So there would be that kind of signage when you're eastbound, basically on Lady Island.
Right, correct.
And when you're westbound, it would be between 15th and 6th, basically.
And that's what most people would use to look at, try to figure out, especially if you aren't familiar with the area. If you're familiar with the area, you probably don't have to worry about it.
Do you have something? I just wanted to say, for those who weren't around to see the changes, I've been going to these meetings since 2005, and this is vastly improved over the original design. The original design even included a loop around. It closed C Street right there in front of Tidland. And then the only way to get around was to come back and come between Jimbo's and arc up around and join Union Street through Triangle Resources. Because of the
Close proximity of the intersections, the signal to the ramp intersection to this intersection.
and the ramp actually, if I remember correctly, took most of the furniture store there, which is just west of the corner of Union and SR 14, and that's been saved as a result.
Yeah, we changed all that.
And it also absolutely closed Second Street, so that among other things, to get from Washougal to Washougal on the other side of the highway, you actually had to leave Washougal and go into Camas, so especially for emergency vehicle access to South A Street, this is vastly improved, and I think it actually gives much better access to both the port and the auto dealership, and also whatever happens to Hamilton and the 13 acres that are just east of that also. So I'm impressed with how far we've moved.
First of all, thank you for everything you've done up to this point, especially for coming out tonight on a night like tonight. I wish you a safe trip home. I hope the weather doesn't hit before you get there.
I'm used to it. I cover 7 counties, so I'm used to driving lousy weather.
Okay. Beyond that, a comment and a question. I've been to some of these get-togethers where we talk about the plan. I found that input was something that wasn't readily accepted. The focus there was to get the information out. The information flowed one way. I'm not sure how you got all the information to get the changes that were done. I see they were done, so obviously they had to flow somehow. The ones I've been to didn't work that way.
Hopefully that was just perception, because we have made a lot of changes. And a lot of our projects, most of our big projects, huge change from the concept to the end. And even though it may not sound like we're always, because we can't implement what everybody wants. It just won't, there's not a solution that addresses. Columbia River Crossing is probably the best example. You can't do what everyone wants, because they all want different things that are counter.
keep it.
But we can do some of them, and in this case, I was actually surprised we came up with this, but this is a direct result of this council telling us their opinion. And even though you didn't think that we were listening or paying attention or we were gonna make a change, we did. And so, maybe it's just how we act or how we, the first time someone wants to change something, well, wait a second, we've been working on this, I don't wanna change it. That's human nature, we're all that way, and us engineers are probably worse than anybody on that, but the fact is we
For the
did.
participant, perception is reality. The other thing, the question that I've got is how we can improve the process, because we've arrived at the point where we're gonna do this, and we've got businesses with major investments who are very concerned about the way we're gonna do it. How do we improve that so
So-
that we don't wind up like this again?
One of the dilemmas is Best Western wasn't there, for one, before we moved in. He met with every single business in the corridor. I mean, every single one of them went through and explained what we're doing. Got their feedback then. Some of them wanted things that we couldn't do, other ones we could. And so it really was, just because you aren't doing everything for everybody, doesn't mean you aren't doing a lot of stuff for a lot of folks. Specifically, Mr. Killian, he has, he two different developments, he had one over toward Third, and then the other half. We went through and made changes 3 different times. We met with him last Christmas, I met with him first last Christmas, we met with him 3 or 4 different times, trying to get this to work for his development and minimize how much redevelopment he has to do in his plans, to make it work for him. And we were able to do that. We were able at the end to come to an agreement that works for him, works for us. You can ask him. He's very pleased with our relationship and how we went forward. Mr. Tidland, he was just really upset. I think he even wrote the governor a letter that's saying having this street coming up and around and basically makes me an island. And so my people can't walk back and forth. Well, I think you can still, just because it's a street doesn't mean you can't walk across it. But he really was upset because we were building this road up and around his development, et cetera, and making this a kind of a dead end or a one-way street at that little segment. We listened to him, that whole thing changed. Each one of them is different. When one of the port commissioners, it was Les Schwab, we listened to his concerns, obviously, both the port commissioner and because he works with Les Schwab. But that doesn't mean that we addressed everybody's issue and gave everybody what they wanted, and that's the difference between.
I don't want it to sound like I'm putting the whole responsibility on you. What can we do from the city level to help with these things?
You did. I guess that's what I'm saying is, your comments and your input from your staff helped us go back to the table and figure out another game plan. So I think it's a success that the system worked. And we did change a whole bunch of things to make it better than what it was. The dilemma is, it's not perfect, and it won't address everybody's issue. That's kind of, we have trade-offs. Everything we do, we have trade-offs. We could make we could make this road provide access off of 14 to Les Schwab and to whomever. We could do all sorts of things, and we may address each individual's point and concern, but then we're not providing greater population with the safe freeway that they're expecting from us.
I understand trade-offs.
So that's kind of the challenge, it's all a series of trade-offs, and we could have left this access over here at 6, so you could come in at 6 and come back. Is that really better than what you have? We think this is the best solution of all the ones that have been considered, and